Welcome to Veterans Corner. This is Westborough television show for veterans about veterans' benefits and veterans' interests. We're very, very fortunate today to have with us Massachusetts State Treasurer Tim Cahill, and I'm your host, Ken Ferrera. I'd like to welcome Treasurer Tim Cahill. Thank you for coming to the show today.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
Now, you've been involved in state politics for quite a while, and you come from Quincy. Tell us a little bit about the trek to the state treasurer's office.
Well, it was a long one. I was first elected 20 years ago as a city councilor in Quincy, my hometown, and I served on the council for over 15 years, from there went to the county, Norfolk County, as the treasurer there for 6 years, and then in 2002 I was elected state treasurer. And fortunately, in 2006, I was reelected. So I'm on my second term, just finishing or just coming to the end, close to the end of the first year of my second term. Loved every minute of the job, and I think we've been successful at helping the state solve its financial problems and dealing with the finances and trying to create a better state and one that functions better.
A lot of changes over the course of a couple of terms.
Yeah, tremendous change. We've changed governors.
Yeah.
I've got to work with Mitt Romney for 4 years, which was very interesting, and it was good. I mean, their expertise is in the finances. That's his background. So we learned a lot, but we also, I think, were able to stay independent, which I think is the goal of the Treasury, is not to, I don't work for the governor. I think it took Governor Romney a little while to realize I didn't work for him. And my job is to really be like the CFO of the Commonwealth. So the governor's the CEO, my job is to be the CFO, and independently of the governor. I mean, I get elected by the Commonwealth, by the residents of the state, so I am an independent constitutional officer. And my numbers have to be good regardless of who the governor is. So it doesn't matter whether it's a Democrat or Republican, the numbers have to speak for themselves. And we try to keep the politics out of those numbers, whether it's forecasting revenues or whether it's dealing with the cash flow statement, trying to decipher what's really going on at the Turnpike Authority. One of my major jobs is to sign off on all the debt offerings of the state. Both the governor and I have to do that, but it's our office that looks at the disclosure statement, makes sure that the finances are what everyone says they are, and it's complicated. It's not like you run a business because you have the legislature with their numbers, the governor's office with their numbers, us with our numbers. We have a comptroller who also is involved in the finances, an appointed position by the governor. So we all get together and everyone's got different numbers, so we have to figure it out what's right, what's the real number, yeah, what makes the most sense, because when we provide those to the rating agencies, when we go to Wall Street to issue debt, they've got to be sure of that we can repay this debt, that we're not taking on too much, and that our ratings are legitimate. And we're a very solid state in that sense. And I think we've shown up our finances a lot over the last 4 years. I mean, when I came into office, we were probably about $3 billion in deficit. And that has turned around in the last 5 years. And now we're working off a surplus. And sometimes it's more of a challenge when you have a surplus in government because people want to spend the money.
Sure.
So that's been a challenge. But the legislature's been great. They've really helped us function. We've helped them. They've helped us create a school building authority, which is a new agency that wasn't in existence when I came into office, that now oversees all of the funding and the construction of all school buildings in the state of Massachusetts. And we fixed that problem. It was a serious financial problem that weighed not only on state government, but every city and town in the Commonwealth. We fixed that. They turned over the Alcoholic Beverage and Control Commission to us in 2003. So now I oversee that agency, which regulates and oversees all of the alcoholic industry in the state of Massachusetts, all the retail and wholesale businesses. And our job is to make sure that the liquor laws are enforced, regulated, and we try to keep alcohol away from underage people as best that we can. And then I think it was in 2005 or maybe 2006 we got the Veterans Bonus Division. We've always been responsible for issuing checks for veterans going back to the Vietnam War, but that's obviously been a very small part of our office, and it was just something we did in the office. But the legislature, under the leadership of Senator Brewer, and Representative Verga from Gloucester, came up with a veterans bonus plan to address the Iraqi war veterans in this war. And then they gave the responsibility to us and the resources to us, and that's what we've been doing and spending a lot of time on this past year.
Excellent. How is our bond rating, by the way?
Our bond rating is good. We're not, we're not AAA. I think we're AA plus, if I can remember correctly. We've been upgraded once since I've been in office. We're a fairly high debt state, partially because we have a very old infrastructure,
yeah.
And the revenues have not traditionally been as strong because we don't have a big population. So we have, we're an important state, an industrial state, at least a former industrial state.
Yeah.
But we don't have the revenue sources that we used to. So borrowing has been a big part of our financing our infrastructure and our capital projects over the year. Having said that, though, we're very well received in the country's, Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
We just went out and borrowed $1.5 billion to do next year's and this year and next year's capital projects, all the infrastructure, the roads, the bridge repair that really is desperately needed.
Yeah.
And we were really the only issuer last week. The markets have been very difficult the last couple of weeks with the subprime crisis, and it's been really hard to get money, especially to borrow money. Yet we were able to do it in the first week of August at a very good rate. We will be well positioned for the next year in terms of our borrowing and our assets. You'll see a lot of activity in the state of Massachusetts over the next couple of years in terms of the money we borrowed to try to address our infrastructure needs, as well as the money that we have put to use on school building construction. We'll be spending about $2 billion over the next few years on new construction on school projects. So between that and what we're doing with the state infrastructure, I think you'll see a lot of activity, and it will be somewhat disruptive, but in the end we need to really upgrade our infrastructure. That's really a key part of growing the economy here in Massachusetts.
How do the towns and the cities, you're talking about the school rebuilding process, do they apply, or is it allocated by community? How does that work?
Well, in the old days it was basically you fill out an application, you go to your state rep, and then you get on a list from the Department of Education. And that list grew and grew and grew, and nobody really had taken into account what it was costing the state. We're very generous for our reimbursement. About 70% of the money that goes into local construction is funded by the state, but we didn't have the money. So we had accumulated huge debt, and what happened is we weren't able to pay our bills, so cities and towns had to stretch out their payments and wait to get reimbursed for money that they were promised. So we took over the program, and what we did is, rather than going to state budget, is we've assigned a proportion of the state sales tax into a trust that my office oversees, and then now it's an application process. We just started the program up in July of this year. We've accepted 400 plus applications, and now we're sorting through those applications to see which ones merit reimbursement from the state level, and what are the worst schools, what are the ones that really need the help the most. So it's going to be more of a merit-based, less political system going forward. And we got our finances on board, so we're not going to approve more schools than we can pay for in a given year. It's worked out very well. We've retired billions of dollars of debt over the last 4 years since we've taken over the program. We've saved the state taxpayers and local taxpayers over $2 billion in interest costs because we paid that debt early as opposed to stretching it out. We've audited over 500 projects that had not been audited, so we saved the state about $500 million there in capturing and catching some overpayments and some misappropriations that were out there. And again, because we've been able to audit programs, we've been able to fully pay off those programs, so we've saved interest there as well. It's really functioning very well. It's another part of my office that has really developed over the last year. And again, if you apply good financial discipline to anything, and you can find a revenue source that is repeatable, like a sales tax revenue, and you're not having to go to the legislature every year asking for funding, you can build a good program and you can make it work, and it's going to help every single. We've had over 160 communities in the state request funding from us for schools. And again, I think we'll be able to get to all of those over the next 5 years, definitely not in the first year, but over the next 5 years, and address the needs, because education is so important in this state.
Absolutely.
And public education, all education. We have a real strong, highly educated constituency, and we need to keep that, because we're competing against other states now for jobs, for our industries. We're also competing with other countries.
Oh, this world economy, for sure. Yeah. What other departments do you oversee under the Treasurer's Office?
Well, I oversee, as I said, the debt department. We do abandoned property, so when people lose money, forget about it, I wouldn't say lose it, but they forget about it in their old savings accounts or stocks that they might have gotten as children, our job is to find those people. We get the bank receipts and we get the accounts, and our job is to find people, so that's a pretty big division. I oversee the State Retirement Board, so all retirees go through my office, as well as I'm the chairman of the State Pension Fund. So we have about now it's a $50 billion pension fund that invests money on behalf of state retirees. We've had a very successful run. We've been averaging about 17% return over the last year and double the size of the fund in 4 years. So that's a big responsibility. As I said, the school building fund, and we really do all the state's cash management. So we pay all the bills, and we don't collect the money, but it comes through us, and then we invest it and deal with it through the banks, and then pay all the bills for the state as well. So it's about all together, including the ones I've already talked to, ABCC. One that I actually forgot, one of our bigger divisions is the state lottery.
Oh, that's a pretty good one.
It's a good one. I don't know how I forgot it. It's been in the news a lot lately too, but that's the division of state government that returns the most money to cities and towns. So it's a really important part of what my responsibilities are. Last year we took in $4.5 billion in revenue and returned over $951 million. This year we'll be turning around $890 million to cities and towns. It is the biggest single source of revenue that cities and towns get, that they can spend any way that they feel that they need to spend it. So mayors and selectmen and the boards all really rely on the lottery, and it's also a really good generator of revenue for small businesses. We have over 7,000 agents that sell our product, and they average about $35,000 on profit per year on lottery sales. So it's a really good part of their business, and it's vital to cities and towns.
Now, with all this talk about casinos, will that impact the lottery, and will casinos be under your aegis?
I'm not sure if we're going to have casinos. I think that we will in some form, either through state-sponsored casinos or Indian casinos. I don't know exactly what the structure will be. I don't think it'll be under my oversight. It's usually not the way the casino industry is structured nationwide, those states that have it. We think it will have a minimal impact on the lottery. And we're already competing with Connecticut casinos and Rhode Island casinos. The players are slightly different, and if they do it in the way that I envision that we should do it if it comes here, which is resort destination casinos, it will really attract a different player. And I think that even if we are impacted, the money that we generate from the casinos will more than offset any money that's lost or diminished from the lottery. So
like sales tax or things
yeah,
like
and sales tax, and just the revenue from the slot machines and stuff. I mean, they're generous. I mean, in Connecticut, the state gets about $500 million a year from those two casinos alone, just on a quarter of the revenue from the slot machines.
So it'll probably be a net gain then?
It'll be a net gain, and if we do it right, the way I envision it, where they are commercial casinos, not Indian tribal casinos, we can also get revenue from the sales tax on purchases, on restaurants, meals, property taxes, all the things that commercial enterprises pay in the state. And if we do it right, again, it could be a real economic generator, create a lot of jobs in the state as well. So it could help in a lot of different ways, but I think it will definitely add money to the revenue that goes to cities and towns in addition to what we do, and not really impact what we do in a big way.
Financial education programs, does that come under, is that part of that, the school?
Yes. Well, it's an outgrowth of previous administrations. I think it was started under the Malone administration, really. We have a very small staff, two people that do financial education, but it has three components. One is for elementary school students. It's a Savings Makes Sense program where we have not only staff, but also celebrities go into elementary schools across the state. We partner with the banks and try to teach young people about savings. They open up savings accounts. They're able to do their banking while at school. It's a really, really nice program. We've got about 400 schools that are involved in it, and I go around and my staff goes around to each of these schools every year to have programs where the kids really get excited about saving and learn how important it is. We also have just started a program around credit and the credit card issue and the abuses in credit cards and how it really affects teenagers. So we're focused on seniors in high school, freshmen in college, and we just started that program last year called Caution with Credit, and we're focused on trying to get on college campuses to try to teach people, especially when they're away from home for the first time, that you have to pay this money back. Usually at a high interest rate. It's not free.
It's not free.
It's not free, and you'd be amazed at how many students don't know that, how many kids don't know that, how many parents don't really. That's one thing parents forget to tell their kids, because they're going to get those credit card applications directly mailed to their dorm rooms when they leave home. So, and the third thing we do is money conference. We do a money conference for women. We've had 13 or 14 of them since I've been in office, and actually the one coming up in the fall is going to be in Worcester this year. So we're going to be out in Central Mass for the first time. We've been in Western Mass, and we've done a lot in Eastern, Northern, and Southern. So now we're going to be in Worcester at the Centrum sometime, I believe, in September this year. Last conference we had over 1,200 women, mostly women, some men, a lot of families who come, and we have nationally known speakers who come out to tell people, try to, again, instruct them about how to save money, how to invest money, and how to prepare themselves for retirement as they start reaching those ages.
Yeah, it's so common today, it seems, to spend whatever comes in goes out.
Yeah, especially if you have a family and you're trying to put your kids through college and stuff. So, and a lot of people aren't prepared for retirement, because we deal with it all the time. And one of the saddest conversations we have with people is when they were getting ready to retire and they realize they're not going to make as much money as they thought.
Right.
They're going to really have to change their lifestyles. And so we try to get them early if we can. We have a deferred compensation program in state that we encourage state employees to put some of their money aside and invest for themselves, so that when they come to retire, they're not just relying on state pensions. One of the things people don't realize, if you work for state government or you're a teacher, you work for government in Massachusetts, you can't collect Social Security, because we're one of 7 non-Social Security states. So our pension is people's Social Security. So they have to realize that going out, that they're not going to be able to collect Social Security and a pension.
Yeah.
So we do the best we can, and that's why it's so important how we invest and how we try to educate people for their future.
Okay, great. Well, this is called the Veterans Corner, so let's talk a little bit about more about the Veterans Bonus Program that's under your department.
Yeah.
What is the Veterans? First of all, what's it made up of? Your division, is it is it a large component of the Treasurer's Department?
No, it's a small. We used to do it out of our administration and finance, just as part of our administration and finance. As I said at the top of the show, it was focused on Vietnam veterans at those times. Most of them had already gotten their bonus, some Korean War veterans. For the most part, if a call came in, it was our responsibility to fund it if all the requirements were met. As I said earlier, the Senate and the House got together last year and really decided that they wanted to step up to the plate. We needed to do more to help our veterans, especially those returning from this war, and to send a good message to them that Massachusetts, the people of Massachusetts government really respects and honors what they have done for us. So they came up with the bonus program. It's a $500 or $1,000 contribution that people can apply for and get shipped to them immediately upon returning from Afghanistan or Iraq. Or if they haven't been sent overseas, if they're stateside, they can apply for a $500 bonus that they'll get again immediately. They don't have to be discharged either. That was one of the things in the original bill, that you had to wait for discharge. But with so many National Guardsmen who come and go and stuff, once you've gone, you can apply. So even if you're active duty, you can apply for this bonus. It's been, we have about 3 or 4 people that oversee the program, administer the program, and make sure that the checks get out. We want to make this user-friendly. We don't want to put people through a lot of hoops, especially after they're coming back from serving us and struggling with readjustment issues. The first check we gave out, I think it was about a year ago, maybe last summer at this time, was to a young man who was going to put it right towards college education. He was going to go into community college, and he needed the money. I got a beautiful letter from a returning service woman who told me how important, not only it meant that the state acknowledged the service, but also it was helpful because she was going back to work. She had a new job, and she was going to have to wait 2 weeks before she got her first paycheck. So this $1,000 was going to carry her and bridge that gap. And in addition to that, we've got these subprime mortgage issues. So people, when they go away, a lot of times their money is not made up, so they're coming back with some challenges. And if they got into these subprime mortgages or these low interest rate mortgages, those terms may have changed since they've returned, and they could be struggling with making mortgage payments. So this money is really it's important in and of itself, but what we really want to send is the message that it matters. I mean, we've returned close to $10 million already to the returning servicemen and women.
Wow, that's a
Over
big number.
12,000 veterans have applied for this, but there are another 16,000 that are eligible that haven't applied. So
They
one of them
haven't applied?
Haven't applied. So they just don't know about it, or they're a little bit concerned about it's a hassle. It's not a hassle. They just have to call our office at the Treasury, ask for the Veterans Bonus Office. We'll make it very, very simple for them. All I have to do is prove that they have served. They've been in Massachusetts 6 months prior to going overseas or joining the service, so they're Massachusetts residents. And we'll, upon verification, we'll ship them the check. They can work through their local veterans offices if they want, and they have all been trained, and we've gone out and talked to them, and they know the process. So they don't even have to go through state government. They can go through their local veterans agents to do this and stuff. But it's very, very important, and the legislature, again, through Rep. Ferrera and Senator Brewer, have done a tremendous job. Massachusetts is at the forefront of veterans services and in financial help for veterans in the entire country. And I think that with the new governor, he's got the same commitment as the previous governor in terms of making sure that any good idea is not turned away, and that whatever the resources necessary will be found to try to help, again, help our veterans readjust, come back into life, and really honor and respect what they've done for us by serving over there.
I think there's a website out there, and I'd like to see if we can get that up on the TV monitor while we continue to talk about the topic.
And they can also call us. I mean, it's 617-367-3900. Very simple. 3900, 617-367-3900. Peg
McCobb?
Peg McCobb is the woman who oversees the program. She does a fantastic job. She really, as a people person, so she was there to help, as we all are, to help people readjust. So Peg will help them, or she'll assign them to someone in the office. And turnaround time is very, very quick, because we know how important it is to get this money out as quickly as possible. And then again, they can access it on the web, or they can go through their local veterans agent.
And that's in the town of Westborough. That's George Perry here in town. So is this a program unique to Massachusetts, or are all the states doing it?
I'm not sure which states do it and which ones don't. I don't know if it's unique, but again, we're more generous than any other state. It goes back, I guess, to those Revolutionary War days when, we've got a long history here in Massachusetts, and service is very important. Regardless of how people feel about the politics of any battle or war, I think people feel unanimously and universally supportive of our veterans and what they do and how important it is. And as we said earlier, I mean, it's a global world financially, and obviously we can't hide behind our borders anymore, regardless of how we kind of want to tune off what's going off in the rest of the world. It's not possible with technology today. Things are happening. So we can't close our borders from an economic point of view, nor can we from a protective point of view as well. We have to deal with issues. So, and this is, hopefully things will work out, and what we're hoping and praying for is as many of the veterans who go over there and serve us come back healthy and safe. And again, financially, we don't want them to fall too far behind.
Now, just to qualify or clarify, it's all veterans, whether it's National Guard, no matter what branch of the service they're in, or National Guard.
Yep.
They qualify this as long as they've served in Iraq or Afghanistan.
Or stateside.
Or stateside.
Yeah, it's a $500 bonus for stateside. It's $1,000 if you've served in either Afghanistan or Iraq. And all you've had to prove to us is that you were a Massachusetts resident when you enlisted or when you were called to service. And you do not have to be discharged. So you can still be in active duty. Once you've gone overseas, you come back and you can apply for this bonus.
And there's 16,000 out there that have yet to apply. So this is a substantial body.
And more and more are becoming eligible. So right now that's 16,000. As more Guards unit get called and people get activated, they'll be more eligible. And we're doing as much outreach as we can, but we've got a small staff, and we're not using any of the money for advertising. The money goes to the veterans. So these programs are great that you put on because we want to get the word out, but we don't really have the resources to get the word out as much as we'd like to. So we're going around the state, and we're, again, working very closely with the local veterans agents of each and every city and town in Massachusetts.
Are there Any programs under your department or that you're aware of that deal with, family issues for veterans or people that have served that when they come home or that may have been wounded or injured abroad?
Nothing in my office. I mean, the governor has a Veterans Services Administration and a cabinet secretary, Tom Kelly, who does a fantastic job. I believe is still there. He's been serving in the last 2 or 3 administrations. He's a Congressional Medal of Honor winner. He does a great job of working with the local veterans agents to get service. I mean, the state, as well as cities and towns, do a lot. I mean, I don't know if we are fully staffed up and have the resources to deal with what's coming back now, because this is a new era for us and there are new issues. This is a desert war, which is different than the last war that last long war that we're in, which was more of a jungle war and different issues and stuff. And I do believe, I know this governor is as committed as the previous governor to making sure that we have the services necessary, and that we treat them, the families returning. What I would encourage some people, especially from this part of the state, is to, again, check with our office, find out when the money conference is taking place, because we can help people as they're readjusting and coming back and find themselves a little bit behind in their finances or trying to get to the next level. And I would encourage any returning servicemen and women to come to that conference that's going to be at the Centrum in September. And sign up, and we can be helpful there too, because again, a lot of the readjustment has to do with finances, because obviously you fall behind.
Sure.
And you're not able to make the same amount of money, and being away from home makes it difficult. I mean, especially for people who are living paycheck to paycheck.
I understand Governor Patrick, who you mentioned supports veterans issues and affairs, has created an advisory council on veterans affairs. Are you involved in that, or are you aware of what their goals are?
Their goals are to help, again, not only the veterans who are serving abroad, but those who have served us in the past. I'm not part of this council, and so I'm not familiar with the specifics of what they do. I think it's in addition to what Secretary Kelly does right now, and to help out. And I think addressing the fact that we are at war, and that there are people coming back from service who have challenges and problems and injuries, and anything and everything that we can possibly do to be in the forefront and to let people know that we do care. Because a lot of people, when they come back, they're too proud to ask for help.
That's true.
They don't think or know what government has to offer. Like this program, I mean, we do our best, but we just don't have the resources to really get the word out, and people don't know, and they don't think the government's here to give them a check for $1,000. I mean, they wouldn't think twice that that's going to happen. So people are really surprised. We've gone into National Guard units and told them about it, and they're shocked that state government is here to do that. And that's obviously generated by taxpayer money. So the taxpayers of the state really are the ones who are being the most generous. We're just coming up with the programs to try to put that tax money to use, and I think this is one of the few programs in state government that all taxpayers feel really proud of as well. They don't always like the way we spend their money, and most are complaining that we're spending too much of it, but I don't think anyone's complained about the good use and the money that's being spent in this program. And again, it's the taxpayers of the state who are really being generous, allowing us to come up with a program like this and then supporting it.
Tim, I'd like to thank you very, very much for being here today. I know it's a trip to come up from Quincy, and
Happy to do
but
it.
we're
Very
glad
happy.
to have you, and it's been a wonderful and enlightening show.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Ken.
We'll hope to see you again at the next issue of Veterans Corner. This is Ken Ferrera saying thank you on behalf of George Perry, and we'll see you again soon.